Hi nostalgic home cooks! Today I'm in the kitchen making old-fashioned, soft and fluffy pancakes. This fluffy stack of restaurant quality pancakes comes together in no time with things you probably have in your kitchen right now. So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make old-fashioned, fluffy banana pancakes. These soft, extra pillowy, puffy pancakes are packed with sweet bananas, which means they're the perfect recipe to use up any overripe bananas. Or if you have any picky eaters in your house, it's the perfect way to sneak in some added nutrition. The first thing I need to do is separate my eggs. For this recipe, I'm going to use 4 eggs. I'm going to be whipping my egg whites first, so I'm going to put those in my large mixing bowl, and the egg yolks, I'm going to set them aside for now. To separate your eggs, you can either pass the egg yolk back and forth between 2 halves of the shell and just let the egg whites fall into the bowl, or you can crack the egg into your hand and let the egg white slip through your fingers. Either way, be careful not to get any yolk in the egg white. Any fat that sneaks into the egg whites will stop them from whipping to a nice white fluffy cloud we need to make the pancakes super soft and light. I'm going to whip my egg whites with the whisk attachment of my stand mixer until they hold a stiff peak. You can also use a handheld beater for this. Set the egg whites aside and we'll move on to the egg yolks. Mix the yolks until they're smooth and light. Then beat in 1 tablespoon of softened butter and a half a cup of sugar. Beat until creamy. For the dry ingredients, I have 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Give these a quick mix to evenly distribute the ingredients. Of course, you should pick a larger bowl than I have here, but you get the idea. Stir half of the dry ingredients into the egg yolk mixture. Then stir in half of the milk, which works out to be a half a cup. Stir in the rest of the dry mixture and then the remaining half cup of milk. I've already mashed 2 overripe bananas and I'm going to fold these into the batter. You can of course use another type of fruit in place of bananas here, or you can leave out the fruit altogether and just have the fluffiest classic pancakes. Finally, I'm going to add the egg white that I whipped at the beginning. These are full of tiny air bubbles that are going to add lightness and air to the batter. So I'm going to make sure to gently fold them into the mixture. I want to keep as many of the tiny bubbles as possible. No need to mix this to a completely smooth, uniform mixture. A few lumps and foamy white spots in the batter is perfect. I've already preheated my griddle to medium-low, but you can also cook these in a few pans on the stovetop. They are pancakes after all. Grease your cooking surface with some butter or oil and drop the batter in little round cakes. Let these cook for about 2 minutes or until the edges start to set and bubbles break on the surface of the batter. With a quick, confident motion, slip a spatula under the pancakes and flip them to the other side. Continue to cook about 1 minute more on the other side or until golden. Keep in mind that the first pancake never turns out quite right, but by the end you should have a beautiful fluffy stack of tender pancakes. Serve them right away with a generous drizzle of maple syrup or your favorite toppings. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.